Manchester United's hunt for a new striker has brought a couple of names into sharp focus, and there's been a couple more than these two getting linked, but I think it's quite clear from the moves that Ineos have made in this transfer window that they are moneyballing this to a greater or lesser extent and trying to buy Premier League goals. I think that's why Mbeumo, said it right, and Cunha have been signed, because they don't guarantee it, but they've got Premier League goal scoring experience, and I think that goes a long way. They don't have to adapt to a new league. The adaptation period should be a little bit quicker because of that. And I think the fact that we've already signed a couple of Premier League experienced forwards to add to our dry goal front from last season, looking at the final piece of that puzzle, hopefully the final piece of that puzzle, in the number 9, the desperately needed number 9, I think that's why Watkins' name keeps getting flung in the mix and Mateta keeps getting flung in the mix. Mateta feels more like the fans are throwing him in the mix rather than that there's any concrete kind of links with anybody else. Now, both of them offer quite distinct profiles, and I think the suitability for United depends on quite a few different factors. One thing is for certain, the fan base is split, and there's a hell of a lot of people, and there's plenty of other people throwing Vlahovic. He's free. What are we doing? Good point, well made. Sesko, he would score more than either of those. Is your opinion? Obviously, we don't know that. He might not. He might take a bit of time to adapt, blah, blah, blah. Either way, whether it's the tactical fit, whether it's the financial considerations, whether it's the long-term strategy under Amorim, there are a hell of a lot of things to think about when it comes to Manchester United's new number 9. Now I'm going to focus on these two, just because they're the two that I know the most out of all of the ones that we've been linked with. And we'll start with Jean-Philippe Mateta, because I like him. I've done a case for, or a scout report that might have been dressed up as a case for, a good while ago, because I think he'd be excellent for us. Proven goal scoring form, 14 Premier League goals, 17 in all competitions last season. He is a more efficient goal scorer than Watkins. He's getting 0.32 goals per shot, which does beat Watkins' 0.18 goals per shot. He was the first player since Alan Shearer, all the way back in 1997, to score in each of his manager's first 6 home games, which I love these stats. I have no idea where they come from, and I have no idea who's going, did you know? I love those people and I love those stats. But I also think that he's got a level of consistency which is underrated. He's also 6'4", and those who've watched my channel for long enough know that, I don't know, I feel a little bit like Neil Warnock here. He's a big fella, right? This Manchester United side is suffering, and Mbeumo, got it right again, is not adding to the height of this team. He's a little fella. He's a good player, but he's a little fella. Premier League football in recent years has increasingly gone down the line of the land of the giants. Arsenal and their delusion that they think that they play great football has been disguised by the fact that they've been sensational on set plays. And they are lethal at set plays. They're lethal at set plays because they've got a really, really big team. And Manchester United have been left behind in that sense. We do not have a big, physically imposing team. Mateta would go a long way to addressing that fact. He also can make runs in behind, which seems to me it's something that Ruben Amorim is favouring. And I think he highlights just... He's been described as brave. He's been described as someone willing to go where it hurts. I think he's a bit of a complete package. He can shoot, he can score, he can hold it up, he can run in behind, and he's got brilliant work rate. And I think the work rate is probably the thing that would make him stand out to Ruben Amorim the most. Now, the issue with Mateta is we are looking at an incredibly short sample size. He basically had a breakout season this season. Now, it's been a significant improvement over the previous career campaigns, but his consistency at the highest level is nowhere near the level of Ollie Watkins. He's also 28, so there would be a limited resale value, even though he seems like he's got also a lot lower initial purchase price. At 28, he's only going to decline after 1 season, 2 seasons, 3 seasons. You're looking at like zero value left in him if he was going to resell. But you know my thoughts on the resell, and if you don't, I'll tell him you. My thoughts on the resell are, if they're good, you don't want to sell them, and if they're bad, you're going to lose a lot of money anyway. So why are we asked about resale value? However, it is a consideration that Ineos will take into account, with the club being skinty poos. Watkins. Now, Premier League pedigree is the first thing that I think of with Ollie Watkins. He scored 16 goals and 8 assists in 38 appearances last season. That was in 31 starts, if you want to get technical. He's got 75 and 184 Premier League appearances for Aston Villa, 109 goal involvements. Not bad. Pretty reliable. Only Isak and Haaland have had more goal involvements amongst Premier League strikers last season, which makes him quite a low-risk option for an immediate impact. He is a traditional number 9. He has evolved into a striker that's pretty good at holding the ball up. He is good at attacking the box. He gets a good number of chances. I think he has intelligent movement in the 6-yard box, and he's good in the air. I don't quite think he's as imposing in the air as Mateta, but I think he's quite good in the air. Now, he has a low touch volume, 23.8 touches per 90. He has high shot efficiency, 10 touches per shot. That kind of goes with what I think Amorim's looking for in terms of a striker. The work rate and the defensive commitment, him and Mateta are similar in that sense. Both of them kind of suit what Amorim is all about. Watkins has evolved into quite a mature, well-rounded striker, especially under Emery. He seems to have a good mentality on him. He's played non-league football, which I think is probably a real good thing. And the work rate and the work ethic, I think, is strong in him. That's the kind of character that I think would slot in sensationally into that forward line. He's an England international. He has performed in some high-stake games, including in Europe for Villa. And I think that experience is absolutely lacking at Manchester United at the moment. Now, the main issue with him is Villa are wanting 60 million. Now, I don't know if that's just chatting shit, but unless United start selling off furniture, I don't anticipate there being a world where United can spend best part of 180 million across 3 players. I just don't think that's a problem. Now, regardless of whether Watkins is your favourite option out of the strikers, Villa's desire to sell and to sell high might be a tough one for us to get over the line. And he's 29. So if you was going to lose money with Mateta, you're absolutely losing money with Watkins. Now, people are saying he is close to the end of his peak years. Maybe. You don't know. And the type of forward that he is doesn't necessarily rely on blistering pace. He might have 5 years in him, 6 years in him where he's able to perform at that sort of output. I don't know what he's like in terms of looking after himself. But I think he'd be a safe option. Now, even though he's a provably reliable goal scorer, his goals per 90 are quite matched to his actual expected goals, but he's not an elite finisher. You want your elite finishers to kind of exceed their expected goals. And he's had barren spells. He had a 7-game goalless run back in August of 2024 and an 8-game drought in 22-23. United need instant goals. Now, what I think favours Watkins is that link-up play, that Premier League pedigree, that Premier League know-how. And I think if you had him and Mbeumo and Cunha all joining at the same time, you could probably afford to ride out a barren spell, because there's so much more to playing striker for United than just scoring goals. And that's one of my main gripes with Rasmus Højlund. He's doing nothing. He doesn't get involved in the link-up play in the slightest. He can have 4 touches at times. He doesn't get his shots off. He's just messing about, hand-fighting with people. I think Watkins would be a defensive asset. I think he would be a link play asset. And I think he'd be a reliable goal scorer as well. Now, he relies and thrives on both crosses and aerial opportunities. And this is another concern. United do not play that. We don't really seem keen to pump crosses into the box. Less so, maybe. No, that's not the word I'm looking for. More so. I'm tired, it's late. More so under Amorim than we were under Ten Hag. I think the wing-backs are kind of been told to put more balls into the box. But we're still... we still do more passing than crossing. We're third in the league when it comes to passes versus crosses. We're not a team that's going to stick it in the mixer very often. So would that hurt Ollie Watkins? Or would the link-up play and the defensive assets that you get outside the box maybe be too much of a good thing for us to turn down? I think there's a lot of nuance in this comparison. I could sit on the fence and say... And it's the truth, I would take whichever one you don't want, I'll have him. Because I'd be pretty content with either of them. That's the truth, right? The truth is, if we signed any of them, I'd be like, sweet. We've just got a Premier League proven striker to go with 2 Premier League proven forwards. We have absolutely levelled up our forward line. Unequivocally. If you tell me now I have to choose someone, I'd probably go Mateta. There's not loads in it, though. I really do think Watkins could offer a lot, and I like the character that he brings. But I want to know you guys' take. Don't just give me a name. Don't be lazy. If you say Watkins, say why. And can you address any of the concerns? And if you want Mateta, say why. What is it about him that you think? Does he mesh up better with Mbeumo or Cunha? Talk to me. Does the physical side that Mateta brings fill a hole in the team that we're not going to fill elsewhere? Let me know in the comments. Appreciate you guys taking the time to come and watch. Hit subscribe if you've made it this far, and I'll see you in the next one. Laters.